OPEC obviously plays a significant role in the market when it comes to the physical supply to the market and the market fundamentals, because their decisions obviously determines that how much oil is going to be in the market by the membering countries. So it has been historically playing a very important role in the market. However, this report opens a very interesting aspects to significance of OPEC, and that's how OPEC's messaging, whatever includes from the written statements of OPEC to oral and signalings that OPEC members, the ministers and officials are signaling to market, including the data and how it impacts the market.
The study, Sara, concludes that OPEC signals are highly related to oil market volatility and to traders' positions as well, and that it is associated with lower volatility in the futures contract space. Doesn't this reinforce what OPEC always reiterates, that it is a force of stability, and unlike what others might sometimes say, that OPEC is a cartel that always tries to push prices higher?
This is actually a very good point, because one aspect of energy security is a stability of prices and a stability of the market, obviously, because that directly fits in the energy security. And in fact, this report is a testimony and testifying that OPEC's role has been a positive role in terms of stabilizing the market. And how that is in terms of this report, which talks about OPEC messaging, has impact in the market. Something that is very important to take into account is market expectations. So market expectations, we call it psychology of the market or market sentiments, they all have very important impact on the prices, or what we want to call it price volatility. So what this report indicates is that how OPEC messaging helped with market stability and lowering the volatility, which is very interesting, because if you go through the details, this is a very large report, almost 60 pages. If you look at the methodology of the report, something that is very important to consider is that today, in today's market, it's not just human being that it's forecasting or have effect on the prices. We have algorithm. It's all those forecasting and pricing algorithm that traders, banks, investors, everybody are dealing with them. How does the mind of algorithm work? Obviously, algorithm has access to a larger data sets, and is very sensitive to every keyword, every signal and message in the market. So if we look at, for instance, if a human being wants to do a market analysis, they will look at the supply and demand and whatever could impact on these both. But this report even look at a factor like speculative factor, market sentiments, and this shows that the messages, the signals, and the performance in terms of messaging of OPEC has been in a way that had reduced factors, less expectations that and sentiments that could create volatility. So that's part of a natural process. But again, going back to OPEC's role, I think there are so many important factors to consider. One of that is expectations of future. And you know, I mean, we are now currently at the market, at an environment that there's a huge discrepancy between the expectations from today's market up to medium and long term in future, where the demand is heading, where the supply is heading, the assumptions that are there between different organizations. The discrepancy is very huge, and all these huge discrepancies could obviously create an unstable market. But if I want to go back to some of those messaging, when the recent conflict in Middle East broke up between Israel and Palestine, what happened? We had the Saudi Energy Minister Prince Abdulaziz coming to the statement saying that OPEC plus Saudi Arabia, also Russia, we are still committed to our voluntarily cut. So all these sorts of messaging that comes from the market kind of comforts the market, but also, particularly since COVID, the leadership within the OPEC and the strategy, I would like to go back to Saudi Energy Minister Prince Abdulaziz mentioning the 3P, the principles for the market, that OPEC has been proactive, preemptive and precautious. So when you look at their strategy, particularly since COVID, was to give certainty to market.
Yes.
Why? Because during the COVID, we had a significant uncertainty with regard to demand. So OPEC, by giving out long-term, medium-term, in advance decisions, announcing its decisions for future production, kind of gave a certainty to the market with regard to the supply.
If we sum up, Sara, all these attributes that we spoke about now with regards to OPEC, about its significance, its credibility, the stability that it provides to the oil markets, how can we compare the role of OPEC to that of a central bank, such as the Federal Reserve Bank, for example?
Again, that goes back to the power OPEC has, first of all, in terms of production and actual supply, and how OPEC regulates the market by physical impact on the market. But again, this report proves that OPEC has been very responsible and very reliable source in terms of any types of messaging, and that comes from OPEC's statement to OPEC's predictions, numbers, outlook, and also signaling to give an assurance and certainty to the market. And that's part of what a central bank's role is. Speculators could make benefit from price volatility, but something that is very important in a market is investment, and investors require certainty. Going back to what I said about COVID, at the time of significant uncertainty on the demand side, by giving a certainty into let's say next 12 months in terms of supply, OPEC was kind of giving some ease and assurance to the market and to investors to at least being able to have a clear view on one side of the fundamentals, which is supply. So that shows that OPEC is playing that role in a very reliable and responsible way, not just by managing the market in terms of physical fundamentals, but also in terms of market sentiments and impact on the psychology of the market. You mentioned the future volatility, which again goes back to the expectations.
Sara, moving on from the messaging and the role of OPEC in terms of providing stability for the market, let's talk a little bit about the market fundamentals. Prices were about $97 at the end of September last year. Since the beginning of this year, it has been trading in a tight range of around $10, between $73 and $83. Now, there are some worries about the rate of growth of global demand. There are bigger worries maybe about the rate of growth in non-OPEC plus supply this year. Do you expect now that OPEC plus needs to extend the additional cuts not only until the end of June, but they might have to extend it till the end of the year?
I'd like to go back to 2019 because we are talking about signaling and messaging. The first, I remember the first speech of Saudi Energy Minister in the World Energy Congress. When the media approached him and asked him about the upcoming meetings outcome, he said that this is about consensus, and he's not, and I mean, recently even he says that he's not a fortune teller. He waits for the consensus, and then the outcome comes out. And with regard to what you talk, it's very hard to predict what would be I mean, there could be expectations, but what is important is that, again, goes back to what are your assumptions for the market. For me, I see a healthy growth of demand and also supply, healthy growth in demand, and also supply growth this year, which kind of, in my view, I see a balanced market. However, if you look at, let's say, different data producing institution, let's say OPEC's expectations, IEA's expectations, EIA's, or even different agencies' expectations, they all have a huge discrepancy, I mean, wide range of expectations. One expects a demand growth of 1.1 million barrels per day, one expects 2.1 million barrels per day. So depending on where you go, you can have different expectations, but I follow that guidelines of not predicting, because I'm not a fortune teller, but I would say what we just learned from this paper, we could be assured that OPEC constantly monitors the market, and that's what specifically they started as their strategy since COVID. They are more regularly monitoring the market, and they adjust their production with the market needs. And I would say that, just conclude my remarks by saying that OPEC has been successful in, based on reports, to create certainty and stability in terms of volatility in the market, while managing to be very unpredictable.